third film in the Planet of the Apes saga with Escape from the Planet of the Apes. This is one that Roddy McDowall actually returned on, and he would continue out the 60s and 70s portion of the saga. And yeah, there's just a lot going on in here, and this is the one where things kind of take a different turn. It's quite interesting because how in the world do you create a sequel after blowing up the Earth? Well, the producers finally found a way, and there's some in-between movie stuff going on that's not that's just briefly talked about. So, without further ado, let's roll Escape from the Planet of the Apes, starring Kim Hunter, Roddy McDowall, Sal Mineo, and Eric Braeden from the soap opera Young and the Restless, and Ricardo Montalban also as Armando. So, let's take a look at the rating here. It is also rated G, but also I'm going to throw up the viewer discretion is advised. Again, this is of the 1970s, early 1970s, so there is some questionable content in here, a little bit of violence. So, without further ado, here is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. From when was this made? 1971, so yeah, roll it. I know it's dark, but hey, I took a little break after watching the film. So that is Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Thus, seeing the end of Kim Hunter as Zira. She exits the series in this film very tragically. Of course, it's also the end of the character Cornelius, but it's not the end of the actor Roddy McDowall. He ended up finishing up the 5 films. This one is a little bit different because it raises the question of how do you make a sequel after blowing up the Earth? Well, in the film, they had to explain a little bit of what happened. And so they created a storyline that there was another ape, Dr. Milo, played by the late Sal Mineo, that they were able to restore Charlton Heston's ship from the first movie, restore that, fly it back in time to modern day Los Angeles, and see how in their eyes the world is upside down, but it's really not to us because we're humans, but to them all the apes are primitive, they cannot speak, and all the humans are talking, so it's an upside down world. They also created a little bit more of a backstory about how the apes rose. That there was a plague that first went after cats and dogs and whatnot, and it goes from there. And this also continues the theme of government cover-ups, trying to sweep things under the rug, that's how Cornelius and Zira are killed. They're killed because they're seen as a threat to the government and humanity, but they're really not. And so Washington's in such an uproar over those two, because not only did they travel from Earth's future to the past, they find out that Zira is pregnant, and that endangers the world. So yeah, now we enter into some weird things going on with the Apes saga. Um, this is what creates an alternate timeline. The best way I can describe it is if you use Doc Brown from Back to the Future, is that creating the alternate 1985. So that's essentially what they've done here, is that they've created an alternate timeline, because now they've gone back and now they have to put the Earth on course to turn it into the Planet of the Apes. Now, what do I think about the film? I think this one is, to me, a little bit more exciting. The other films are quite exciting, and they have a shock value to them. This one I like a little bit. It's kind of become a sentimental favorite of the Planet of the Apes, because it's one that has, where you take them and put them in our shoes and they understand what's going on. That, to them it's upside down. It's the fish out of water technique. But it's still an exciting movie, and plus it has its big twist at the end where Zira changes babies with the primitive apes baby, so that her baby will live. And and of course the big shock at the end is when that baby says "mama, mama, mama," and of course if you pay attention to it, it's a real chimpanzee that they're moving the film back and forth to make it talk, but it creates that shock value that mama, 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 that okay, the Planet of the Apes is still going to occur. Yeah, I enjoy Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Now, some more trivia about the film. Again, this was Fox during its struggling time during the 70s. So in sequels, this is what Fox did. It's very interesting with the sequels. Each film that they made of the Planet of the Apes, the budget got smaller and smaller, so that they were guaranteed to turn a profit no matter what. So, and Escape from the Planet of the Apes was made on a budget of $2 million. Yeah, the previous one was 3.7. So, the Escape from Planet of the Apes was made on a $2 million budget. And they took advantage of, they cut a lot of cost by shooting in modern day. No sets were necessarily built. If they needed to build a set, it was a small set, where mostly two people are in a shot, or just a handful of people, not a whole bunch of people like in the previous entries. But yeah, I enjoy these movies. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Check it out. Well, you've already just checked it out, so there you go. Tomorrow will be Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Actually, next time. It's not necessarily tomorrow. You can watch it tomorrow, but it'll be next time. Will be Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is where things change even more drastically. Mostly because Conquest tends to be the most controversial out of all the Planet of the Apes movies. And I'll explain that next time. So from me to you, see you later.